Welcome to the second episode of Fixie Points, where you all send in your trash bills to see who will be crowned Fixie Point royalty. It's royalty of the dump, so don't let it get to your head. If you only clicked on this video to see if your submission made it into this episode, I'll bring your hopes back down to earth where they belong. Out of 75 Fixie Point submissions, I'm only able to show 5 builds that won't make everybody go blind. So if yo selfish ass just wants to know whether your poor excuse of a bike is featured in today's episode, you can find a list of the bikes in this episode in the description. Bye bye! Without further ado, let us start arbitrarily awarding Fixie Points to see who is this episode Fixie Point royalty. This episode of Fixie Points is made possible by the super subscribers that support the channel on Patreon, but especially my top supporter, Mr. David Pierce himself. You are officially Fixie famous. To make sure we're on the same page, here are the 5 things that I'm looking for when awarding Fixie Points. First is the coherence of the build. Second is how much bling does the build have. Third is how much attention to detail is shown. Fourth is originality. Oh, you have black archetypes laced to black fill hubs with black omniums? I've never seen that before. And fifth are the bonus Fixie Points, which I will award to whatever may tickle my fancy in the moment. 5 categories, 20 Fixie Points each, 100 Fixie Points total. Let the trials by fire begin. To start things off nice and easy for your eyes, let's take a look at Federico's Bardini Super Pista. Your Bardini is properly fitted with almost all Italian components. As comfortable and functional your pedal setup is, BMX foot straps have no place on your Italian steed if you want them Fixie Points. It's like wearing a fitted suit with Crocs. I know they're comfy, but don't do it. Just don't do it. I really love your build with the quill stem. It oozes class with a combination of vintage and modern components. Your other cockpit setup, on the other hand, not so much. This is a vintage Italian bike, and assuming you're from Italy, that probably doesn't mean much to you, but for the rest of us Fixie foos, anything that's lugged, that's steel, and that has at least a half-sounding Italian name is a true beauty. When you throw on the threadless stem and the straight bars, this bike goes from being the nice girl that you want to introduce to your parents to being your dad who tries too hard to fit in with your friends by playing Call of Duty. Coherence Fixie Points plus 16. If I am not mistaken, you've got custom built GPM rims laced to Mieke hubs. Not the most ballin' wheel set, but custom is custom. You've also got the vintage Rolls Titanio from 1992. And yes, I do realize that I offended a lot of you by saying something from 1992 is vintage, but do not worry, I am here to help you dustier folks that are watching this video. In the description, you will find links to Amazon where you can buy a calendar and a 4-function calculator. And according to my calculations, 1992 was a long ass time ago. Although your saddle isn't in the best condition, props for having a saddle that's older than me. And vintage lugged Italian steel nets you some Fixie Points too. Just because it's Italian don't mean it's high quality. Case in point, Fiat. This is the equivalent of straight gauge, high tensile, sewage pipe steel, and that ain't bling. Bling Fixie Points plus 13. Now most of your photos didn't have your bike in the frame, so let me give you a little rundown on Fixie photography. In Fixie photography, this is a very common problem. As you see, I cannot get the complete bike in the frame, but do not worry, there is a solution. You've missed good detailed photo opportunities with the lugs, the campy stamps, and the Fixie AF not intended for use with brakes rim sticker. Also, you know this is YouTube. Get those vertical photos out of here. And you sent in a non-drive side photo. Nuh-uh. Plus 0 attention to detail Fixie Points. Your frame set and wheels are so vintage and obscure that I can smell the Pabst Blue Ribbon through this photo. Plus 15 originality Fixie Points. I didn't even know GPM still existed. And just because I got a soft spot for lugged steel, that's plus 5 bonus Fixie Points. Total, 49 Fixie Points. To the untrained eye, this bike looks like a sick, ripping machine. But if I may focus your attention to here, and here, you can see that this is indeed a converted tri-bike, and that this bike is indeed having a midlife crisis. Man, this carbon tri-frame set looks like it leans over to its wife and whispers right before falling asleep, "Honey, what happened to us? We used to be so full of life. Now that the kids are out of the house, we should really spice things up. I've got a great idea to do that. We should ride brakeless fixies." Coherence Fixie Points plus 10. The components rank pretty high on the Fixie scale, with BMX pedals and straps, a BMX stem with risers, white spokes, and you're getting your chub on in the back because if you ride a fat bike like this, you're gonna be packing some chub. Your front wheels got a low flange Mieke hub, radial lacing with red nipples just to subtly say what you like in the bedroom. And your carbon seat post is proprietary, so you can say to your mustache waxing friends, "Oh, you got a Thompson? That's cute. My seat post only fits in this bike because I'm a much more special snowflake than you." Bling Fixie Points plus 15. You only sent in one photo, but thank you for having the decency to make it a good one. You should meet up with Federico from the first submission so you can teach him how to take a proper photo. And it looks like your midlife crisis also prompted you to buy a DSLR for Fixie and brunch photos. Plus 10 Fixie Points there. With all your middle management money, it looks like you were able to build yourself a nice custom wheel set. Although your frame set keeps on suggesting you sit down to seriously consider your retirement options, it is original. As stupid as it is. Plus 16 originality Fixie Points. If you've got the cash for a full carbon frame set and a custom wheel set, why don't you do things the right way and build yourself a proper track bike? At least you ride in brakeless though, so it almost cancels out. Almost. This bike gets the poser penalty of minus 5 Fixie Points. That's plus 46 Fixie Points total. Your mama must really love you for all the flowers you bring home after locking up your ghost bike. White bar tape with a white saddle is about as pro as it gets while still keeping things classy. Fitting this with silver components keeps the build feeling like a proper NJS build. The Japanese purity almost matches the looks of this build, if not for that Colnago fork and campy front brake and TB14s. Coherence Fixie Points plus 17. NJS frame set, Dura Ace headset, MKS Royal Nuevos, 75s with an Izumi Super Toughness chain, Campy and Colnago bits, and Nitto contact points. Although they're not NJS, they still ballin'. This level has got so much bling that the only way that you could possibly afford this bike is with the money that you got from your own life insurance policy. Plus 17 bling Fixie Points. You are so caught up with showing off your bike that you brought it to a studio to have it photographed. And thank you for being too hip for both music streaming and vinyl, and for keeping it real with CDs. Either you did the photo shoot right after you finished building, or you actually cleaned your bike before taking the photos. Or you actually a ghost and you don't ride this bike. Props for keeping it clean. You sure did do your research by showing off that undrilled brake bridge, the lugs, and that redundant 5 gold top tube protector. If only you lined up your valve stems at 6 o'clock, had matching valve caps, and lined up the crank arms parallel to the ground. But it's forgivable because how else would you have an excuse to show off your Backstreet Boys complete collection? Plus 16 detail Fixie Points. With NJS frames, the build decisions almost make themselves, and you didn't stray far from the norm, but the risk you took with the white bar tape and saddle paid off. Plus 10 originality Fixie Points. I went with a similar color scheme on my Motibicon track. That was the bike that started it all for me back in 2012. Plus 10 bonus Fixie Points for nostalgia. This level just brought the competition up to the next level with plus 70 Fixie Points. Hey, Mr. Converted Tri-Bike, I hope you have your notepad and pen ready, because this is how you have a midlife crisis. Of course, if you got a titanium bike, you've got to go with the black finishing kit, so thank you for sticking to the tried and true method with your little wing. The decal heavy 3T stem is appropriate for this build, but what isn't is that stack and stem angle. But titanium or not, I guess you gotta relieve your chronic back pain somehow. You try to add some color with the EC pedals and valve caps, but I am feeling it. The light blue distracts from the mad dollar bills that you dropped on your titanium frame. Plus 15 coherence Fixie Points. This frame set costs literally as much as a gallbladder and a pair of eyeballs. Need I say more? Plus 20 bling Fixie Points. In your photos, you highlighted Little Wing's second to none decals. I just wish you included close-ups of that integrated seat mast and the dropouts. And you really shouldn't have included the top cap. It makes it look like you ride this bike in socks and sandals. Plus 15 Fixie Points. Although you ride in a played-out wheel set and crank combo, you got that titanium track bike on the street game on lock. Plus 18 Originality Fixie Points. For your integrated seat mast, you get the no resale, no problem plus 5 Fixie Point bonus, for a total of plus 75 Fixie Points. He's done it. He's done it. If downtown LA were a bike, this would be it. You've got 3 different shades of gold, a random ass blue deep dish wheel, unwrapped bars because bar tape would obviously cover that Cheeto dust finish that you oh so want to show off. And of course, there's the front arrow joke and illest stickers. The non-drive side photography, if you can even call it that, is grainier than a box of Cheerios. It's so bad that I can't even tell if that's a real arrow spoke or a rip-off one. I have never seen so much hype and poverty in a build at the same time. As much as this bike pisses me off, this is, without a doubt, the most fixie of the bikes in today's episode. It pains me to say this, and I will need to take a shower and a stiff shot of whiskey after saying it, but this converted poverty and hype machine is this episode's Fixie Point royalty. I hope you hated this episode of Fixie Points as much as I did. If your bike didn't make it into this episode, do not worry. This is a monthly show. Your bike might be featured in the next episode. And if you want to send in your submission, email me at iam@zachgallardo.com. Be sure to leave enough good quality pictures and a specs list, because if you don't got that, I ain't gonna bother. If you'd like to directly support my future therapy sessions after this episode, consider supporting me on Patreon. And regardless of whether you've ridden your bike or not, close down your device right now and call your loved ones so you can hate yourself just a little bit less after watching this episode.